Spotlight. I am Amanda Lakin, Communications and Outreach Coordinator at the Nevada Housing Coalition. And today I'm speaking with Owen Metz. And Owen is the Senior Vice President and Project Partner at Dominium, and they are one of our newest members. So welcome, Owen.
Thank you.
Great to have you. So to get started, can you just give us a brief overview of Dominium?
Sure. Thanks, Amanda. Dominium's a 50-year-old company. We're celebrating our 50th year in business. And we really specialize in affordable and workforce housing and doing really bond 4% transactions. So we're working in about half the states in the country. We own and manage approximately 38,000 apartment units, which I think puts us maybe second largest in the country. So it's been a fun growth opportunity for me in my career, but to see the company grow. And we recently regionalized during COVID and opened a Mountain West headquarters and moved a bunch of our staff, myself included, and my wife and kids came along for the ride to Phoenix here to open a Mountain West office and headquarters for our organization. And we did a similar regionalization in Dallas for our central region and in Atlanta for the Southeast. So we've really gotten closer to where the bulk of our work has been, which is in the Southeast and Southwest parts of the country where people are moving to. And the housing crisis is extremely acute and a need that needs to be met. And so we're actively growing, in the Mountain West region and trying to get into new states, Nevada included. And we just bought some land in Idaho. We're working on 2 new construction opportunities in New Mexico and trying to broaden our footprint a little bit and get plugged into some other states.
Awesome. Well, like you said, I know that you're pretty new. Dominium is new in Nevada. So can you kind of tell us why Nevada and let us know about any upcoming plans or projects that you have here in our state?
Sure. So I'm sure you all know better than I do, but the housing crisis and rent crisis and, the 2 major metros in Nevada is certainly problematic, right? So people are struggling to afford rent and, the housing supply is not keeping up with the demand. I think Las Vegas was ranked the worst or first and most severe for affordable housing shortages. So, we see that as an opportunity to bring some of the product that we do, which is, again, that sort of bond 4%, new construction, really focusing on production scale and larger apartment communities, 200, 300, 400 units at a pop to help, provide some of that supply and hopefully tamping down some of the rent growth that's occurred. I think single family prices have gone up almost 30% in a year, rentals 20%. So it's some significant challenges for folks that live and work in Nevada and want to move there and enjoy the excitement. So that's really what brought us, to that opportunity and considering how can we bring the model that we work on, which is trying to not use a lot of scarce resources, not use a lot of subsidy, but really, again, leverage that bond and 4% subsidy that's available to build new affordable housing. One of the challenges in Nevada, obviously, there's land prices. Where do you find land? Get through zoning and entitlements, which is always a challenge. But with the 4% credit, you really need more than that to get the math to work and to get your financial model to balance. And there's not a lot of HUD difficult to develop areas and qualified census tracts as a percentage of the land mass of the 2 largest metros. So it's difficult to find sites that have a QCT or DDA treatment where you get that additional federal incentive. So we're trying, we're looking, but it's been a little bit of a challenge so far. But we're keep turning over stones and trying to find some opportunity.
I'm glad you guys are here to help us out because, like you said, Nevada is ranking the worst right now. So, so in your mind, what would you say is the most innovative project that you guys have done?
Well, we've done a ton of really cool ones. The ones I've worked on, the one that comes to mind was one of the most challenging, but turned out really neat. And they're fun ones because they look cool. But we've done a fair amount of historic adaptive reuse redevelopments, and one in particular that I had the opportunity to work on and help lead was actually converting the Pillsbury flour mill in Minneapolis, which at the time, at one point in time, was the world's largest flour mill. And it's right across the Mississippi River from downtown Minneapolis. And the Mississippi River literally runs through our basement. There's a tunnel that diverts water from the St. Anthony Falls and diverts it through a giant tunnel that you could literally drive a semi truck through, but it's under Main Street. And we got a FERC license because we, didn't have enough bureaucracy and government work to work through. So we decided to go get a FERC license to open and operate a 600 kilowatt hydroelectric plant in our basement. So it helped offset a significant amount of our electrical consumption and production, and we were able to turn a roughly 500,000 square foot flour mill into 250 artist live work apartments. So we had all these really cool artist spaces and paint studios, clay studios, photography studios, and your normal amenities as well. So that was one where we leveraged the federal historic credit, the state historic credit, obviously the federal bond and 4% credits as well, and was sort of a really innovative project where we cleaned up a building that was vacant for 10, 20 years. And, everyone looked at right across from downtown Minneapolis that was like, what are we going to do with this? And kind of the literal cherry on top was we relit the Pillsbury's Best Flower sign, which was on top of one of the buildings, this giant sign, and we retrofitted it with red LED that looks just like neon. And we were able to turn the sign back on and had a big light switch that we turned on. So that was kind of a fun one to be a part of. But going forward, I think those are more the exception than the norm. And I think just anytime you can build new housing is innovative in itself, right? You get the math to work, and you find a site to entitle. And the public-private partnership that's so great about affordable housing, seeing that come to bear. And so much of what we and others in the industry do are economic development, their redevelopment, they're taking blighted sites, fixing them up. It's bringing investment and resources into underfunded communities, but also trying to build affordable housing in nicer communities and in areas of opportunity. So that's really the stuff that excites me is going forward, how can we build a bunch of housing that will help people?
Yeah, that's awesome. I have to say the adaptive reuse is actually really interesting. I think we have a lot of people that are interested in that, and we have a few projects, I believe, that have been done here in Nevada. But I definitely think being able to live in a place that has such a history is really cool for the residents that get to live there.
Yeah, they're fun to work on. It's just there's an opportunity cost, right? You could probably 2 or 3 deals for the time it takes you to do one of those, but they need to be saved. And I agree, it's an important resource that needs to be leveraged.
Very cool. Well, my last question for you is what brought you to the Nevada Housing Coalition?
Sure. As we expand our footprint in the Mountain West region, like I mentioned, we don't do that half-heartedly. So we want to be plugged in. We want to be part of the stakeholder group. We've got a team here in Phoenix that's really excited, like I am, to expand our presence and quite honestly help as well. We do a lot of policy work. We interact with a lot of elected officials, policymakers, and folks that sort of help decide the future of affordable housing, and being able to bring our national presence and expertise and ideas and thoughts to states and to coalitions that are trying to build affordable housing is something that we're really want to do. It's the right thing for the industry. We've been very fortunate in our 50-year history of our company to be successful and make it through some challenging times. And today's another one: rising interest rates, construction costs, COVID staffing challenges, and what can we do as an industry and state agency, a coalition, to create some strategies, policies, et cetera, to build more affordable housing. So one of the things we're working on kind of nationally is, I'll call it basis maximization. Super geeky, but how can you create policies that help leverage the bond and 4% program more to build more housing? Because nationally it's underutilized. There's certainly states that use all and wish they had more of their private activity bonds to build new affordable housing, and states have taken an opportunity to say, we're not going to prioritize anything but multifamily housing using these federal bonds and resources, because it's the only resource that brings the 4% credit with it, which is significant. And it's a a free, if you will, subsidy that comes into the state. So how can we make sure that the 350 million of bonds that Nevada gets every year goes to build new housing, and that could build 2,000 to 3,000 units a year, which is a small dent in the opportunity, but over a 10-year period, if you can really move that production side and really look at strategies that help build new housing, it will make it that long term. And the great thing about affordable housing, everyone's worried about it going to market and all of that, but 30 years from now, if you build a housing community, it's the future naturally occurring affordable housing, right? So it's just, you got to add to the supply. This provides much needed housing today for folks that can't afford it, but then long term, it adds to the supply. It will serve a broader demographic long term, and something that helps cities sort of build and bring housing diversity, et cetera, to their communities.
Something is definitely better than nothing. So, and we're super happy to have you on as partners, and definitely we're aligned in what we're trying to do here for Nevadans. Those were kind of all of my questions. Is there anything else that you would like to share with us before we close?
No, I'll just say we're excited to hopefully find some land and get out of the ground, but more importantly, meet folks in the industry locally and get plugged in. And folks have land that they're struggling with. We'd like to help them and figure out a way to build some housing. So if anyone has any opportunities or ideas for us, we'd love to hear them. But we'll over time get plugged in and find something.
Yeah, and we'll definitely be sharing with this video. We'll share a link to both your website and your LinkedIn for people to connect with you. And just thank you for your time. Really appreciate it today, and super excited to be partners with you and work together moving forward.
Yeah, thank you, Amanda. Thanks for all the work that you guys do.
Thank you.